Join us on Coffee with Josh and Arlene as we explore the raw and beautiful tapestry of our relationship. Our channel is a space where we share our experiences of pain, anger, and hurt, as well as joy, harmony, and bliss. We're here to guide you from merely tolerating your partner to celebrating your union and oneness.
Discover new ways of communication, confront the past, let go of outdated beliefs, and embrace living in the present.
Together, let's transform our relationships into a source of strength and happiness. And so it is.
Whispers are heard, a symphony of love, like the song of a bird. You're my cup of happiness.
Fear by Thich Nhat Hanh. Chapter 8. The Power of Mindfulness.
Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Josh and Arlene. And this morning we are listening to The Power of Mindfulness from the book Fear, Essential Wisdom for Getting Through the Storm by Thich Nhat Hanh. So let's get on with the reading and then see what flows after that.
The Power of Mindfulness. Every one of us has the capacity to be mindful, focused, understanding, and compassionate. That quality is inherent in everyone. You can call it Buddha nature. So when you say, I take refuge in the Buddha, you take refuge in a kind of God that exists outside of you. It means that you have confidence in your capacity to understand and to love. It's very old. Just before he died, he said, my dear friends, my dear disciples, don't take refuge in anything outside of you. In every one of us, there is a very safe island we can go to. Every time you go home to that island with mindful breathing, you create a space of relaxation, concentration, and insight. If you dwell on that island in yourself with your mindful breathing, you are safe. That is a place where you can take refuge whenever you feel fearful, uncertain, or confused. In Plum Village, we have a short poem put to music. That verse can be used to practice taking refuge, breathing in, breathing out. Buddha is my mindfulness, shining near and shining far. When you practice being aware of your breathing, you generate the energy of mindfulness. This is called mindfulness of breathing. That energy of mindfulness is the Buddha, because a Buddha is made of mindfulness. And every one of us is capable of generating the energy of the Buddha. If you come from a Christian background, you may compare it to the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit can be described as the energy of God. With the practice of mindful walking and mindful breathing, you generate this powerful energy. You take refuge in that energy of mindfulness. It is a kind of light that shines forth and shows you clearly where you are and what is the next step you want to take. When you practice mindful breathing, the energy generated helps reduce the tension in your body and your feelings. There may be tension in your body, and there may be strong emotions in you, like fear and despair. The energy of mindfulness is embracing, calming, and releasing the tension and suffering. This energy calms you and eases your fear. Taking refuge in the island of self doesn't mean that you leave the world. It means that you go back to yourself, and you become more solid. It's possible to walk in the city and still be in the island of yourself. Your response to what's going on around you will be quite different if you are solid and not overwhelmed. There may be tension in your body. There may be strong emotions. When you practice mindful breathing, the energy of mindfulness helps release the tension in your body and your feelings and reduce the suffering. After 1 or 2 minutes of this concrete practice of taking refuge in the safe island within yourself, you feel calm. You no longer feel trapped in fear or despair, and those feelings are transformed. I practice this verse frequently. I have been using it for nearly 30 years already, and I continue to use it. The Buddha gave his teaching on the island of self when he was dying. He knew that many of his disciples would feel lost after he died, so he was trying to tell his disciples that they should look for the teacher within rather than relying on the teacher outside. That the body of the teacher may disintegrate, but the teaching has already entered the student. If you go back to the island of yourself, you will see the teacher in you. There's no real difference between inside and outside. In fact, when we're inside, we can be more in touch with the outside. If you're not there inside, if you're not yourself, there's no real contact with the world outside. The way out is in. If you get deeply in touch with the inside, you get in touch with the outside too. And if you're able to get deeply in touch with the outside, you can get in touch with the inside at the same time. Going back to your island generates mindfulness and concentration. Whenever you are caught by an emotion like fear, anger, or despair, you go back to the island within yourself and practice this gatha to take refuge. I'm sure that you will feel much better after some minutes of this practice. When you find yourself in a dangerous or scary situation, when you are very sick, anytime you don't know exactly what to do, this is what you should practice. If everyone practiced this, there would be enough calm, peace, and clarity for us to get ourselves out of every difficult situation. The practice of taking refuge can bring us joy and peace in our daily lives. Cultivating the energy of mindfulness. Mindfulness is a kind of energy that can help bring our minds back to our bodies, so that we can be established well in the here and now, so that we can deeply get in touch with life and its many wonders, and truly live our lives. Mindfulness allows us to be aware of what is going on in the present moment, in our bodies, in our feelings, in our perceptions, in the world. We know that the morning is beautiful, the hills, the mist, the sunrise. We want to get in touch with that beauty and allow it into our hearts. We know this is very nourishing, but sometimes an emotion or feeling comes up that prevents us from enjoying what's happening in the here and now, while another person is able to let the mountains, the glorious sunrise, the beauty of nature penetrate fully into his body and mind. We are blocked by our worries, our fear, and our anger, and the beauty of the sunrise cannot really enter us. Our emotions prevent us from getting in touch with the wonders of life, the kingdom of God, the pure land of the Buddha. What should we do in these circumstances? We think we have to remove that feeling or emotion to be free again, so the beautiful sunrise can penetrate us. We consider our fear, anger, and worries as enemies. We think that without them, we would be free, and that these feelings get in the way, so we cannot receive the nourishment we need. It is in moments like this that we stick to our mindful breathing and gently recognize our afflictions, whether anger, frustration, or fear. Suppose we are feeling worry or anxiety. We practice breathing in, I know that anxiety is in me. Breathing out, I smile to my anxiety. Maybe you have a habit of worrying. Even if you know it's neither necessary nor useful, you still worry. You'd like to ban worry and get rid of it, because you know that when you worry, you can't get in touch with the wonders of life, and you can't be happy. So you get angry at your worry. You don't want it. But worry is a part of you, and that's why when your worry comes up, you have to know how to handle it tenderly and peacefully. You can do it if you have the energy of mindfulness. You cultivate the energy of mindfulness with mindful breathing and mindful walking. And with that energy, you can recognize and tenderly embrace your worry, fear, and anger. When your baby suffers and cries, you don't want to punish him or her because your baby is you. Your fear and anger are like your baby. Don't imagine that you can just throw them out the window. Don't be violent towards your anger, your fear, and your worries. The practice is simply to recognize them. Continue to practice mindful breathing and mindful walking. Then, with the energy generated by your practice, you can recognize intense feelings, smile to them, and embrace them tenderly. This is the practice of nonviolence with your worries, fear, and anger. If you get angry with your anger, it is multiplied 10 times. This is not wise. You already suffer a lot, and if you get angry with your anger, you will suffer more. A baby may not be pleasant when she cries and kicks, but her mother picks her up tenderly and holds her in her arms, and the mother's tenderness penetrates the baby. After a few minutes, the baby feels better and may stop crying. It's the energy of mindfulness that empowers you to recognize your pain and sorrow and embrace them tenderly. You feel some relief, and your baby is quiet. Now you can enjoy the beautiful sunrise and allow yourself to be nourished by the wonders of life around you, as well as inside you. Taking mindfulness with us. Like many of us, you may be in the habit of carrying your cell phone around with you everywhere you go. You think you can't live without your cell phone. You are fearful when you forget and leave your phone at home. You worry when your battery starts to run low. When we practice mindfulness, we can take our practice with us wherever we go, just like you take your phone with you. But mindfulness doesn't take up any space or make your bags any heavier, and your batteries never run down. Whenever you go somewhere, your practice goes with you. Our daily lives need to have a spiritual dimension to help us develop our capacity for taking good care of our pain and fear, as well as our happiness. If we practice mindfulness, we always have a place to be when we are afraid. If we nourish and cultivate our mindfulness practice, it will become vigorous and robust. Everywhere we go, we will have our practice, so we will have confidence. more confidence than our cell phones can bring us. We can stand firm through any difficulty. Everyone has the seed of mindfulness inside. Everyone is capable of breathing in mindfully, even very young people. Everyone can drink their tea mindfully. Everyone can take a step in mindfulness. When you're inhabited by the energy of mindfulness, you speak, eat, and walk in mindfulness. The energy of mindfulness is alive in you. Mindfulness carries within it the energy of concentration, so the seed of concentration is also in you. There are practices of concentration that can liberate us from fear, anger, and despair. Generating the energies of mindfulness and concentration in your daily life, you learn to transform your fear and anger and let go of suffering. And then, along with mindfulness and concentration, comes inside is wisdom, understanding. The seed and wisdom of perfect understanding is in each of us. Awareness is mindfulness, concentration, and insight. When I see you walking in mindfulness, with solidity, with happiness, I see the holiness in you. We might even call you your holiness. It's true. Every one of us has our holiness, because we have the Buddha inside of us. When the Buddha is alive inside us, we don't suffer, and happiness is possible.
Is there anything striking you, my love?
Focus, understanding, and compassionate. The word understanding is missing sometimes because you cannot be compassionate without understanding deeply on the other person. So it's very important to be mindful. And according to Thich Nhat Hanh, each one of us, we have our mindfulness inside of us. It's a small space because sometimes we rely to the people outside of us asking help. When we are out of our window of tolerance, we're easy to, I can be a dragon now if I wanted to. But then I changed the statement into, I've changed it. I've changed the story. Um, it is necessary for me that conquering the fear and being mindful is living in the present moment, as in today, and not to worry things like what I pointed myself when he was looking at me, because he meant Thich Nhat Hanh mentioned about worrying about the cell phone, about the battery to die, which is me. I'll never go out in this house, making it sure my battery is 100% because I worried outside. What if I'm gonna have an accident? What if, So this full of what ifs, by the way. So I'm trying to remove it, being mindful that hey, everything will be perfect today, and everything is gonna be okay. And again, it's hard to do because sometimes we are blinded by this angerness, um, being upset, worried, fear, injustice sometimes, no justice, and no understanding. So this is not just only for me, but for we're practicing it with my handsome husband. Sometimes I don't understand him.
Well, that's because I'm a foreigner. And I'm a man, so how can a woman understand a man? Because we know that women are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Okay,
Familiar with that book, by the way.
say it.
I just said it. What do you mean? Say it. I'm trying to add a little deflective humor. So, yes, mindfulness and the power of mindfulness, mindful breathing, mindful walking. So, Thich Nhat Hanh talked about the Buddha being within, and in our teaching, science of mind teaching, it's God that's within, Jesus is within, spirit is within. So, because we are all spirit, we are all connected, we're all made of energy of the I am. And so that energy is already within us. And yet, how often do I forget that that's in me? How often do I feel separate and alone and scared? And yet, all the answers we know are in us. We know that we're connected to our ancestors and the ancestors before them. I'm connected to my father, who's connected to his father, connected, right, so and so on, up the lineage. And ultimately, we're all just individual manifestations of spirit. And yet, when I forget this and I start being focused on the fear and focused on my worries and all the other things, then I can lose my mind. I can lose my focus, and I can be very everything, right? So I can be upset, and I can be moody, and I can be grumpy, and I can be whatever it is. And Thich Nhat Hanh saying, "Hey, mindfulness," and we've seen this is so common these days. So go into mindful breathing. If you're outside your window of tolerance, the best thing you can do is stop, pause, and breathe, because all the science will tell you that all the adrenaline and all that is going to subside. And then when your energies, then you'll be able to be of sound mind and utilize that other portion of the brain. So going into breathing, taking some deep breaths, releasing. Already, just that few moments right there, I could feel the energy in me drop. And yet, too often I fail to do that. And as a science of mind practitioner, we preach meditation, and yet it's one of the things I probably struggle with. I do struggle with the most, because I'm a go, go, go kind of person. And sitting still for me can be a challenge, because I like to be doing things. And that's why these phones are such a problem. They're addictive, and they hit our addictive natures. You can watch the show on Netflix. What is it called? I forget. Social Dilemma, I think it was called. So, highly recommend that show. Anyway, so we have these things that we're carrying around, and my daughter, I think it's attached to her. She sleeps with it. She's curled up with it. And then when I try to mention something about it, she giggles and laughs. And I think it's a real problem in a lot of relationships. And I know this chapter was not about cell phones, okay? So I don't want to get distracted on that. But when our phone is more important than our spouse, because we're busy doing whatever we're doing on it, there can be challenges. Or for people who there's a lot of scammers out there, and so we're suspect of getting random. Okay, I get random text messages sometimes. I don't know how these people, whatever, they bought my name is on a list, maybe I'm on the dark web, and so I'll get these random texts. Oh, hey there, whatever, do you want to meet up? And this is a person I had never met.
Heart.
Yeah, so I just hit delete, gone, bang.
Hey Josh, I love you.
Yeah, so weird stuff. So luckily I'm old enough now, and I'm in a good spot in my relationship. I'm not falling victim to those scammers. You don't know if they're really women. I don't think they are. They're just pictures of a beautiful woman. And if you're a man and you're in a dark place with your relationship, you're not getting the attention you want, and you're feeling lonely and whatever, and then you get this message, you may very likely fall victim to that. So I do caution on that. So anyway, my point was about mindfulness and breathing, being connected to spirit, knowing our truth, and the art of meditation. And again, Thich Nhat Hanh talking about the Buddha being within, and I would go bigger than that. It's spirit that's within. It's God that's within, right? Jesus said the kingdom of God is within you, and so that's true of everyone. And I rail against the idea that people thinking that you can't have spirit within unless you're baptized. So it's chapter 2. So at any rate, what is it that are you practicing mindfulness? Are you practicing mindful breathing, mindful walking? And if not, I'd like to be curious if any of this is spurring you to try some of that. If you're struggling with certain areas of your life and you would want a practitioner session with me, you can message me and we can talk about what that looks like and set something up. Maybe you want to talk to the two of us. So I'd like to know what your thoughts are regarding this chapter. What would you like to share, darling?
Reach out to his Facebook.
I'm not a Facebooker. I turn off notifications.
Sometimes if we're not mindful, it's easy for us to release our anger without pausing, without. This is my observation. When I am releasing my dragon, there's no mindfulness in there. I cannot think of breathing. I'm breathing in and out fire. It's kind of funny. Funny because, all the answers is just around us. Like, hey, spirit lives in us. We cannot move without the spirit inside of us. So I know that we are conscious, but Thich Nhat Hanh mentioned that each one of us,
I'd say most of us are unconscious.
it's your definition as well. I'm not gonna say a negative about, you know.
The people we see every
Yeah.
day at the four-story mall.
And Thich Nhat mentioned that each one of us has our mindfulness, which is true, because we are interconnected, but we don't have understanding. That is the problem. That is a challenge for us. It would be easy for us or for me that if I am angry, I'm be angry because I want this in my own way, in a certain way that I would like it, without seeing, okay, example, my husband. My husband doesn't like Facebook, and he did not understand the concept that, husband, I am looking for a 4-bedroom house because for the previous days he was like up until now for the termite, what do you call that, mess inside of the house. So we are likely to have a place where it's termite free, and we can feel safe and secure also as well. Don't get me wrong, this house is nice, but again, the owner should, I put judgment, should need put actions to it when it comes to the termites, because this is her house. No answer. Okay, that is why I am on my phone. It's not all the time Facebook, Facebook, Facebook. Sometimes we get distracted by it. Then again, that's part of us right now, that we are in this generation where it's full of, we are using technologies to communicate people, to reach out people, or if you have concerns, you can easily find it on your phone. Don't get me wrong with that. And again, distractions for me is when I saw couples in the media that they are arguing and having the issue of third party. That's the distraction for me, to tell you the truth, because I don't like cheating and lying. That's when I look at it, it gets me crazy. There's no need for us to do that. In the first place, why you got married, by the way, if you have the intention to have third party whatsoever. So we're living in the crazy world, but again, it's a beautiful world. We did not recognize it because we are blinded by these brothers and sisters who are walking in the ground unconscious. So that's what I can say about it. Focus, understanding, and compassionate. It's not just breathing in and breathing out. No, you have to put the three elements to it so that you can achieve the mindfulness that you desire, that I desire.
So, just wrapping up real quick here. This was the Power of Mindfulness. That was chapter 8. And being aware of really getting to know ourselves. He mentioned that fear and anger and worry is being seen as enemies. And we're never going to be completely free of those things. So learning to accept that is part of us, and learning how to embrace it, learning how to deal with it, not seeing them as enemies, and realizing that there are, accepting the parts that we, so for, I don't want to really get into shadow work at this point, but accepting the parts of us that we embrace, like that we work hard and we're honest and things like that. And then also recognizing the other sides of us that maybe we don't want to recognize, maybe laziness and gluttony and I don't know, whatever other
Sins.
negative traits that we okay, so that she mentioned sins, right? So in the world of mindfulness, in the world of science of mind, where everything is spirit, there's no such thing as sin. There's no right, wrong. There's no good, bad. There only it just is. And so that is the really the what I would call the trick of all of this. So mindfulness is letting go of the judgments, letting go of the fears, the worries, the past, and just letting things be. And so our goal is to help develop better relationships through better communication and better understanding of yourself and your spouse and those around you. And the better you know yourself, the more you understand people, the easier time you'll have having some patience and understanding for those who are different than ourselves, as well as having patience and understanding for yourself, for the areas where you fell short in your life, where you didn't measure up, where you just went off the rails and did complete stupidity, which I've done. I hate to admit that. I'm human. Guess what? I've done it. So there's very little that you could tell me that you've done that I would be surprised about. We're capable of all kinds of things, and so nothing would surprise me. So again, if you desire to leave a comment on the YouTube page, on the Facebook page, if I happen to go there. So DM us if you want, and let us know